Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today in this video we are going to continue our JavaScript series for beginners. So the JavaScript series, what we've learned before is we've learned simple methods, we've learned about the child, parent, siblings, and we've also learned about the document manipulation methods. So today we're going to be continuing the document manipulation methods, and I'm going to be teaching you the importance of document manipulation, and I'm going to give you a project as well. So I'm not going to be giving it to you for solving, I'm going to do it with you. So please stay tuned, and the project is going to be dark and light theme toggle. So we can toggle between dark and light theme, so that's going to be really amazing. Okay, so let's open up Visual Studio Code and we're going to be continuing this stuff from here. So the first thing I would like to introduce you to is attributes. So if you've worked with JavaScript, or if you've worked with if you've worked with CSS, and if you've worked with maybe you've worked with HTML, you might know what class is. So class is basically a attribute, right? So what are attributes? Attributes are those things that are defined inside of your tag. So I'll go for attributes in HTML. So the attributes in HTML, let me go ahead and give you the definition of attributes first. So what are attributes in HTML? It's a piece of markup language used to adjust the behavior or display of an HTML element. So that is what I had defined you in simple words. It actually defines your functionality inside of a HTML element. What are the stuff that are necessary to do in this? So let's take an example of image, or maybe we could take an example of something else over here. Now, yeah, we can take the example of a paragraph here. Now this paragraph is a starting tag, and inside of that we have class, which is the attribute, and then inside of the attribute we have the value. So how can we actually manipulate this attribute? So it is really easy. How can we manipulate the attribute? So first I've done is added an image over here. Now this image is going to have a source attribute and the alt attribute. So I'm not going to pass in any of these right here. I'm just simply leaving it as the image. Now if I go into chapter 5, and we can see in the inspector, you can see just a image tag over here. Now this image tag doesn't have any kind of attributes. So how can we add in attributes using JavaScript? So we can add in the attributes using JavaScript over here. I'll give you an example. So let's target the image here. So I'll say const img is equals to document dot get elements by tag name, and then this is going to be our image. So now after we've done that, what are we going to do is we are simply going to go and grab the attributes. So how do we grab the attributes? We're going to go ahead and say image, and then we're going at the index 0. First let me console log the image for you so that it will be a lot more clear for your explanation. After I've done that, you can simply go in the console right over here. We can see that an image has been printed. Now this is a node, remember, and then inside of the node we have something called attributes. Now this attributes you see right over, this is a node map, and then this node map is empty. Now how can we simply add a new stuff to it? So how can we add it? So to add it is really easy. So first let me go ahead and console.log out the let me go ahead and access the attributes. Now if we access the attributes, we can see a node map which has a length of 0. Now how can we go ahead and create a new attribute? So to create a new attribute, we can go and simply use something called set attribute. So how can we do that? We can go for image 0.set attribute, and then we are taking in two parameters. Now this is going to be the attribute name, and then inside of the attribute, what is the value of the attribute? So let me go ahead and grab in the value of the attribute. Let's take an example. I'll go with copy image link, and then I'll paste in over here. Now if I've done that, we can see inside of our HTML that we get a image over here. Now I want to manipulate this. Instead of this, I want to make it something else. So to do that, we can manipulate this by using image.attributes.source.value. Now remember, this is the attribute and this is the value, so we are just simply accessing this source and then its value, just like this. Okay, so we've done that. Now we can go for the value over here and we can go for equals to. I want to change the value and want to make it something like okay, let's go for this one over here. So I'll go and copy image link and then I'll set this. On the chapter 5 we can see that this has been displayed over here. So that is how cool it is to actually manipulate the attributes of a element using JavaScript. Now we've learned about attributes, right? Attributes are really fun to work with. Attributes, we can change that. We can change any attribute. So now we're going to learn how to create and remove elements. So now we've not learned about creating element. We've only learned about grabbing the element, and after we've grabbed that element, now manipulating that element. So how would it be, how cool would it be when we actually create the element and then manipulate that element by ourselves using JavaScript? So let me go ahead and explain it to you how we can do that. So first we're going to go ahead and let's say we're going to create a button over here. Now this button, I want to render it below the span. So if I want to render this below the span, I would go ahead and say const button. I'll create a new variable and I'll say document dot create element, right over here, create element. Then I'll give the element a name. So this element name is going to be a button, and then if I console.log the button, you can see this button has appeared over here, but it has not appeared over here. It is because we've not inserted it inside of the body yet. So we've not inserted it, we're simply creating it, but we're not putting it inside of the body. So how do we do that? How can we actually initialize this inside of our body? So to initialize this inside of our body, we can say document.body.append child. We are appending a child to the body. Then we can simply go for this button. Now this button has been appended, but this button doesn't have any kind of a value to it. So to add this value, we can manipulate this button before adding to it. We can simply say button.inner text. Then we can go for click me. Now we do that, we can see that click me has been displayed over here in the button as the inner text. So that is how cool it is. We can create an element. Now let's say that I want to actually remove this hello world from this one. So to remove the hello world, what we can do is actually it's really simple. Okay, to remove that, we can go and access this heading one first. So I guess we've accessed this heading one over here. Now we're going to go ahead and say document.body, okay, body dot remove child. So there's remove child as well. Now this remove child is going to do what? It's going to remove the child over here. So I need to pass in the child, which is going to be h1 at the index 0. So this heading 1 at the index 0, this has been removed. That is how cool it is. Now let's take one example over here. Okay, let's say that I don't want this to be displayed over here. I don't want this. Instead what I want is I want to display a heading 3 which says this is a heading 3. So how do I replace this one? How do I replace this with something like this is a heading 3? So in order to do that, what can we do is we can simply go ahead and grab this paragraph. So this paragraph right over here, this is the first paragraph, right? So this first paragraph can be grabbed. This is already grabbed here. So the paragraphs which have the class name of para that have already been grabbed, so we can actually console them log here. So we can console log those paras, and at the index 0 we can see that it is targeting the first element. So the first element has been targeted. Now what are we going to do is we are simply replacing. We're going to replace this. So to replace that, we don't need to use document.body, because this document.body we see right over here, this body only has this div as a child. Now this div has more childs, but these childs you see right over here, these are not the child of body. These are the grandchild of the body. So the direct child only can be accessed using document.body dot the name of the element. But in this case, we've already targeted the div over here, so we can simply use something like div at the index 0 dot replace child, and we can replace a child. So first, this is going to be a new child, so I'm going to add the new child over here. So the new child that I'm going to add is simply going to go for h3 and document dot create element, and this is going to be heading 3, and it's going to be h3 dot inner text is equals to this is a heading 3. Now replace child, I'm going to be replacing the old, so the old is simply paras at the index 0. And then now do that, we can see that this is a heading 3 which has been displayed over here. So we're simply grabbing this heading 3 over here. This is the new attribute, okay? So this takes two parameters, which is new and then old. Don't get confused, this is not going to go ahead and use old at the first. So orders of the parameters actually matter in programming language. Now we've done that. We've actually studied about append child, we've studied about remove child, we've studied about okay, did we study about remove child? I guess we didn't, right? Oh, we've studied about remove child. We've removed h1 over here. So we've actually studied about remove child, and we have something called write. So okay, let me explain it to you a little bit. So first, what are we going to go? Let's say that I want to write something to this document. Let's say I want to write that this website was created using JavaScript. So how do I do that? So we can simply go ahead and say document.body.write, and then we can go, okay, wait, let me go ahead and document.write. So this is not document.body. This is going to write inside of the document. So it's going to take the string and it's going to say this, never mind, created using JS. Now if I do that, it will just simply write this to a document. Now if you go and see, this is not going to go ahead and add into a new tag, okay? You just need to remember that this is not going to go ahead and add into a new tag. This is simply writing out to the document. So you just need to remember that. We don't use this basically while we're working with JavaScript, but in the backend or anything you could use that for simply indicating that your server is on. So you might not understand what I'm talking about right now, but you'll understand when you actually start using Node.js. So with this said, we're going to go ahead and go to our project now. So now this project is going to be really amazing, okay? So let me close this live server now. We've studied enough today. Now we're going to work with some projects. Now to work with some projects, what are we going to do? We're going to go ahead and actually create a new folder. And in this folder, this is going to go for project. And this project, we're going to create the index.js, and then we're going to go for index.html, and we also need index.css now. Oh, style.css. Now I'm going to go and simply generate this boilerplate, and I'm going to go for dark and light toggle. Now we've done that. I'm going to insert the link over here, and then this link is going to go for style.css. That is how we insert a CSS file into our HTML document. To insert, we are going to go for script source, and this is going to be index.js. Now we can start using this index. Before we do that, we're going to go and give this body a class. This is going to be light now, okay? Just be calm, just stay calm, okay? So this is going to be light for now. Now the class over here, this, we know that this is light, so we don't need to give the class light to this, because by default the light theme is already enabled, but we can simply give that over here. So we can say dot light, and then dot light, we can simply say that the color is going to be black, and then bg color, which is background color, let's say white. Now this is the light, and we can go for dot dark, and then we can say color white, and then background color, let's say, oh, background color is going to be black, obviously, in the dark. Now in the index.html, we can add something like h1, this is a heading 1. Now I want to center this, so to center that, we can go inside of our style.css, and we can grab the body here. So body, and let's go for justify content center, and then align item center. So to do that, we need to add flex as well, display flex. And don't need to worry if you don't know CSS, we're simply aligning them to the center. You might not learn CSS right now, but you will learn CSS. You need to learn CSS if you're working as a front-end developer. So if you haven't learned CSS, please learn it, and please start watching this course again. Okay, so now we're simply setting the color and background color of the light class to white and all of that stuff. Now we've actually centered this as well. We've centered the text right over here. Now I'll go live. Now this is going live, and I'll simply grab this. Now close all. In here, I'm going to open Firefox instead of this web browser. Okay. Now I'll paste in, and this is going to say heading 1. Now this is not actually centered horizontally or vertically, so I'll simply say height and 100 view height. Oh, this is now centered. Okay, we actually need a button as well, so this button is going to be at the top, so I'll simply go for navigation, and this navigation, we can say a button is there. This button is going to say dark. Now if I click on the dark, there should be something. Okay, wait, this is not being refreshed. Why is that so? Oh, this is over here, so this has been centered. So yep, that is the reason why. So I need to do something else for that. I need to center this inside of a div. So yep, this is a div, and now I can go for body, and inside of the body I'll go for a div. Yep, no, I guess that works. Okay, never mind. Inside of that div, okay, now this works. That is pretty good. Now I want this dark to go over to this side, so to make that happen, we're going to go inside of the body, and then inside of the body we have a nav here. Now this nav, we can say this to display. Oh, we don't want the, okay, let's go for display flex, and then the width to be 100% of the body, 100%. And after the width is 100%, we can say justify content flex, flex end. So wherever the flex is being end, now this is going to go ahead and start over here. Now we can actually go ahead and, you know, design the button as well, body, and we can go for button, and then we can go for a certain height. This height, maybe we can go for a 20 pixel height. 20 pixel is a little bit too small. Wait, this is inside the body? No, it's inside of the nav. Inside of body and nav. Height 20 pixel. It still is not doing anything. Why is that so? Maybe 20 pixel is not that small. Let me go with 50 pixel. Okay, no, that is too much. 30 pixel, and then width, let's say 100. We can use padding instead, but I don't want to use padding over here because it's going to be a really big mess. So okay, now we actually made this button. We don't want to design that much. We are not designing much into the CSS. We're simply going to move on to this one. So I want to give this button a name, class. Oh, instead of class, I'll give it a unique identifier. ID is going to be the button. Good. Now I'll go into index. I need to grab in the body here, so I'll go for document dot get element by, let's go for tag name, and I'll go for body. No, there's going to be only one body, so yeah, we can actually work with it, it's fine. So we've grabbed out this body. Now after grabbing the body, we need to grab this button of that has the ID button. So I'll go for const btn is equals to document dot get element by ID, and this is going to be button. Now I know that these are targeting the button and body. I don't need to console log it out right yet. So the first thing that we're going to go is going to go for something called add event listener. So what are add event listener? So let's take an example that whenever you go to a web page, you click on something, right? So you click. Now this click is actually noted as a event in JavaScript. So this is a event. You do something, you actually hover this. This hovering is also triggering a event in JavaScript. So whatever the triggers that are actually triggered, events that are triggered in JavaScript, those are known as event. And now the thing that listens to your event and acts according to that. So suppose, let's say that if I click on dark, then after I've clicked on dark, now this thing is going to go ahead and convert this into a dark page. How does this happen? It happens because this page is listening to us. This button is listening to the event on click, and then it's acting accordingly. So how do we do that? So we need to add this to here, button dot add event listener, and then add event listener is going to do what? It's going to take in the click over here. Now this click is a event. You just need to remember that this click is a event, and it's listening to an event, and then it is passing in a function. It is just simply saying when this button is clicked, just perform this function right over here. So when this button has been clicked, just do this. Alright, so after we've done that, we need to check if the body has the class name of light or not, or we can act according to this button as well. So we can say that if the button dot inner text is equals to dark. So if that is dark, okay, it's capital dark. If that text is actually dark, then I want to go ahead and say button dot inner text, and I want to make it light. And else, if that is not the case, I will simply want to make button dot inner text is equals to, and I want to revert it back to dark. So now we've actually created a toggle function over here. You can see that we can toggle from dark. So what it is checking, it's basically checking if the button's inner HTML is dark. So if the button inner HTML is dark, when it is clicked, just simply convert it into light, and if it is light and when it is clicked, just simply convert into dark. So we're just simply saying that, okay? So now we're just simply not changing this text, we want to change the class name as well. So we can access that body using body 0, and we can console log this first, console.log, and then we have this body right over here. If I inspect in the console, okay, this is saved. If I need to click, so you can see that body, this has the class name of light. So in the attributes, we see that this has the class and all those stuff, right? So we can go for manipulating the attributes, just like we've done before in our project in chapter 5. Not in the project, in the test, or maybe you can say in the course we've done that. So we're saying body dot attributes dot, and then what are we getting? We are getting the at the 0th index. So what is at the 0th index? At the 0th index we have the class, and then inside of the class we have the value of the class. So if I console log this over here, I know that we are going to get this over. Okay, do that. Okay, class is not defined. It says why it is that happening. Okay, we can take an example from this over here. What we did over here? Attributes. Oh, it's not actually this attributes, because this attributes like an object. So attributes dot class, and I'll go for class dot value, and then I know that I can get. Oh, it says it's undefined. Why does it say it's undefined? There gotta be some reason to it. Okay, it says a node, and then it says it has class. What do we go? We can go for class, and then if I go ahead and click on it says class light. So this class light also has a value over here, so we can say dot value, and if I click on dark, this is going to give us light. So yep, that I guess that there was a typo or something I didn't see, but we can access that using this. So we can go for attributes start class dot value is equals to, change that to dark, and we have the same thing. We're going to copy. Now this here we are going to convert this into light, and now if I click, we can see this has been converted into dark, and yep, see this right over here. You can see this great toggle. So instead of using this over here, we can simply go ahead and use something more simple. So we can go for body 0 dot class list dot add, and then we're adding the class. Okay, let me go ahead and remove this class over here. We can simply go ahead and console log this class list first. We can do that. Okay, it is good to console log whatever you've got, because in order to know the methods, you simply need to console log. That's it. And we can see that this is light over here. This says light. Okay. Good. This is class list. Class list dot remove. Now this remove we see right over here. Now this remove is actually a function, I guess. Well, let me see if it is a function. Yep, this is actually going to remove the light, and we can see that the class light has been removed from this one. Now after removing the class light, we can simply go for body 0 dot class list dot add, and then we're adding the class list of dark. If I do that, and you can see that the class list has been removed and the new class list has been added. Now there are a lot of functions inside of the class list. We can go for body dot class list. Okay, let's go for 0 body dot class list dot contains, and we can go for entry for each item's key length, remove, replace. We can go for replace as well. This is a function. Now it's taking a string. We're going to replace light with dark. So if I just remove this line of code, okay, wait, replace at least 2 arguments required, but at least one passed. What does it? Oh, okay, there's a typo over here. And then if I do that, we can see that this stuff is working, right? So we can copy this, and instead of using this, we can simply go body.classList.replace. We're replacing this dark with light. You can see that it's being toggled, and if you see in the inspector, we can see this class list, this class you see right over here, this has been changed into dark and this has been changed into light. So that is how cool it is working with JavaScript, and we've actually created a good project. Now this project is going to be helping you build front-end and static websites, and yep, that is what you all need to learn. So I'm going to be bringing out really good projects in the future, so please stay tuned, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. I just can't ask for more. You can simply join our Discord server if you actually want to take some help. And I guess today for this, I'll just simply say that this is much for you. So I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care everyone, and goodbye.